saw it.
You saw it? Okay, I didn't know. Yeah, that's great. But I was gonna read the article of mine for some.
Which one?
It's this one here.
Yeah.
It's the main matter. They were talking about the guy and the news that it got started.
Okay.
Be sure and vote.
You gonna go to lunch today? What time?
Depending on what time we get through.
You know who this is?
I do now. Clerk, call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1. Devin Allen, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4. Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by our own Roderick Miles. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Morning.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Hi, Roderick.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'll start out our invocation with a verse of Scripture. Micah, the 6th chapter, the 8th verse from the New Living Translation reads, "Know, O people, the Lord has told you what is good, and this is what he requires of you, to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." Let's pray. God our Father, this morning we come before you, acknowledging your greatness and power. We reverence your name in this place. You alone are worthy, Lord. Father, we ask for your presence to be with us today. Before we do anything, we take a moment to give you thanks and praise for life, health, and strength. We thank you for your unfailing grace, your faithfulness, and steadfast love. It's because of your mercy that we are not consumed. God, help us not to get too busy with the cares of this world, that we forget to remember that it is you who has made us and not we ourselves. It is by your divine providence that we sit in the places of authority. So God, we thank you because you're so good to us. Today we ask that you would help us and those in the places of authority to lead with mercy, to do what is right in your sight, and to walk humbly before you. This is how you've called us, your children, to live. I pray for our leaders on this commissioner's court, that you would grant them wisdom, give them insight and clarity. Direct their paths in the ways that lead to righteousness and peace. Let their decisions bring you glory and honor to your name. Let them govern with clean hands, a pure heart, and conscience. Let today's proceedings be fruitful and productive. Father, we ask that you would bless our nation, state, county, and the cities we've been blessed to serve. This I pray in the name above all names, the name of Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Robert. Mr. Manius.
Good morning, members of the court. We have several announcements this morning. The first is, as we have done in the past, we're taking certain things out of order. I believe that we're going to start right before we get to the administrator section, and we're going to take the Saginaw TIRZ discussion up first. Then we're going to ask Mr. Tanasia to come forward and to make his presentation as it relates to continuing health issues in the county. Also, members of the court, I wanted to make sure that you were aware, and also that the county departments were aware, that during the next 2 weeks, we will have court on February 1st and February 7th, February 8th. But on the 15th and the 23rd, we are not going to have Commissioners Court.
15th and 22nd.
I'm sorry?
22nd.
That's right. That's what I almost said. Judge, it's very early in the morning. I know.
Just having a little trouble with math today.
Yeah, well, so anyway, the last 2 Tuesdays in February, we're not having Commissioners Court. So for those of you that need to put items up on the agenda, we ask that you get them to our office as quickly as possible, and that would be for February 1st and February 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of January the 18th.
Move for approval.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. This is going to be interesting. I remember not to
Call on JP.
call on JP throughout this deal, so we'll see how this goes. Resolutions. We have a couple of resolutions today, and the first is for Sheila Jenkins on her time with Tarrant County. Please come forward at this time. Whereas Sheila Jenkins started her career with Tarrant County at the age of 17 as a part-time clerk with Tarrant County District Clerk's Office working for J.W. Borman, and whereas after graduating high school took a full-time position in the Tarrant County District Clerk's Office while continuing her education in the legal field, and whereas through hard work, education, and great success, Sheila was promoted to the court coordinator in 1989 for Judge Albert White in the 236th District Court in Tarrant County, and has worked for Justice Wade Birdwell, Justice Dana Womack, and Judge Kimberly Fitzpatrick. And whereas during her service to Tarrant County, she married Kevin Jenkins, raised 2 sons, took care of her parents who lived to be 100 and 101 years old, and currently enjoys spending time with her 7 grandchildren in Nashville. And whereas Sheila has served the citizens of Tarrant County in the highest tradition of public service and leaves a legacy as a Tarrant County employee who always maintained the highest standards. And whereas on January 28, 2022, Sheila will retire from Tarrant County, having faithfully served the citizens in the legal field for over 45 years, with 28 years of service with Tarrant County. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby recognize Sheila Jenkins for her years of exemplary and invaluable service to the citizens of Tarrant County, in testimony whereof we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 25th day of January 2022, and I'll move its approval.
Second?
We have motion and second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. like to make it too? Thank you very much. Thank you. And Commissioner Allen.
Yes. Thank you, Judge. Well, so I am honored to recognize UT Arlington for a recent designation that they have achieved, worked several years in order to reach this point. I'm going to read the resolution, and then joining us today is Dr. Lim, the president of UTA, as well as Ms. Gina Lim, his wife. They have been so active in the community, and I'm really thankful that they could join us today. So whereas the University of Texas at Arlington, or UTA, achieved the Texas Tier 1 designation, becoming one of the select few Texas universities to be recognized for academic and research excellence. And whereas, as the first university to achieve the status in more than 3 years, UTA is now just the fourth in the state to attain the designation. And whereas UTA accomplished this goal by reaching or exceeding rigorous benchmarks of quality established by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, which included spending more than $45 million on restricted research for 2 consecutive years and meeting 4 of 6 optional requirements, including awarding more than 200 doctorates every year and enrolling a freshman class with high academic achievement. And whereas this achievement is reflective of UT Arlington's exceptional leaders, researchers, and educators, and signifies the investment that the university is making in research studies such as aviation technology, transportation infrastructure, and health disparities. And whereas UTA is a leading research university with a global impact, and their research portfolio will continue to attract scientists and students at the top of their fields who will now have an even greater sense of pride in achieving their academic goals and being a part of this great institution. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby wish to congratulate the University of Texas at Arlington, go Mavs, on achieving the prestigious Texas Tier 1 designation and commend them for their extraordinary effort and commitment to academic and research excellence. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 25th day of January 2022. And with that, I move for approval.
Second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
On.
You're on, I think.
I'm on? Okay. Well, on behalf of the University of Texas at Arlington, I am really appreciative and thankful to this Commissioner Court, especially Commissioner Devin Allen and Judge Glenn Whitley, you're a UTA alumni, for this tremendous recognition. As you know, Texas Tier 1 has been a quest that has gone on for more than 10 years. It took 3 presidents. It started with President Jim Spaniello first to get here, and I'm so grateful to have to be able to run the anchor leg of this particular race. This is a tremendous not only benefit and also for the University of Texas at Arlington, but it really is a accomplishment for the entire Tarrant County as well. Having a county that houses a Tier 1 institution, that is incredible. No, I'm also very grateful for the support and partnership of this Commissioner Court for the last 2 years of my interim presidency. By golly, it's not easy. We have this nasty thing called COVID-19. But your partnership has enabled us to continue to ensure that the students remain safe. They're able to make progression towards graduation. Last academic year, we have record graduation numbers, in the midst of the pandemic. And then on top of that, we achieved, as Commissioner Devin Allen said, Texas Tier 1 designation as well. So this incredible partnership is superb. And And I want to really thank the Commissioner Court for that. Now, this is a testament of the achievement of our faculty and students as well. I do have one last thing to say. This semester is bittersweet for me, if I don't mind sharing it.
Please.
It's bittersweet for me because this will be my last semester as interim president. After this semester, I will move, me and Gina, to New Jersey to be the ninth president of New Jersey Institute of Technology. But for the remaining of my time here, I will continue to collaborate with all of you, especially with the Commissioner Court, to ensure that our students continue to have the greatest education possible. Again, thank you for this partnership, and I look forward to the rest of my time this semester here with the court. Thank you.
Dr. Lim, we really appreciate you and everything that you've done. I've been a member of the advisory board at UTA for some time. Excuse me. And you have always been innovative, you've always been supportive, and we're going to miss you. And I'm sure you're going to do great things, even if it is in New Jersey. But I do want to tell you how much we appreciate everything you've done for this area.
Thank you, Josh.
Agree. Thank you. I did just want to add a thanks to my team for coordinating Dr. Lim's visit, and as well as Blaze. Hey, Blaze. And thanks for those who were able to stop by the reception that we hosted before court. There are still refreshments, including some really cute cookies from Sugar Bee Sweets. That's an alumna in Arlington, owns that business. So you can feel free to grab a cookie or two from back there. But thanks again.
Court members, any announcements that you wish to make at this time?
I have one. Tonight, we are having a Tarrant County ERCOT virtual town hall. And it's being presented by Senator Kelly Hancock and Representative Giovanni Capriglione and myself. And we are doing this starting at 7 o'clock, from 7 to 8, and we'll have with us Brad Jones, who is the interim president and CEO of ERCOT, Kelly Hancock, Senator District 9, Giovanni Capriglione, who is representing the 98th District, and myself. And to get on that, just go to tarranttownhall.com. That's tarranttownhall.com. And it starts at 7 o'clock. I think it'll be real informative. It's kind of a Q&A after some statements by all those involved, and but we'd be glad to take your questions. So thank you.
It's supposed to get pretty cold tonight, so it may be
Yeah.
very
It'll be
appropriate.
tough up high.
Could be.
Yeah. I do have two announcements. First is next Wednesday, February 2nd, we will be hosting a virtual elections town hall. This is in advance of the start of early vote later in February. So that will be streamed via Facebook Live and via Zoom. That's at 6 p.m. next Wednesday. I'm sorry, Wednesday, February 2nd. And then the following Wednesday, February 9th, we will have our regular quarterly JPS community update. That will be virtual as well at 6 p.m. So February 2nd will be elections. February 9th will be JPS. Thank you.
Thank you all. Board members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, if we can now go to the briefing items. We're going to take item B first. This is a presentation concerning the City of Saginaw Tax Increment Financing Zone Number 1. Ms. South is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning.
Good
Morning, Megan.
Oh, thank you, Lonnie. So, the City of Saginaw has established a 295-acre tax increment financing reinvestment zone. It's consisting of 5 non-contiguous areas. These are called development zones. located wholly within the Saginaw city limits. This TIRZ was established to primarily facilitate the development and redevelopment along Bailey Boswell Road, McElroy Boulevard, and Saginaw Boulevard. It'll include residential, light commercial, retail, and infrastructure improvements. And the TIRZ is expected to raise the taxable value within the zone from its current value of $7 million to over $494 million over the 30-year life. Today we have Kyle Sikorsky from P3, and then also City Manager Gabe Ream from Saginaw, and they're going to talk you through the presentation, and I'm going to go ahead and ask them to come up.
Morning.
Good morning,
Morning.
Judge, Commissioners. Kyle Sikorsky, P3 Works. I appreciate the time this morning. As Megan said, also we have Gabe Ream, City Manager, City of Saginaw. So as Megan said, the City of Saginaw created their first tax increment reinvestment zone at the end of last year on November 2nd. We worked with the city basically for the majority of 2021, working through this project and identifying potential projects that could benefit from a TIRZ being created. And the final plan was approved by the TIRZ Board and the City Council on November 16th of last year. Here's a map of the TIRZ number 1 boundary. As Megan said, there's 5 non-contiguous parcels. These are the parcels that we in the city identified to be able to develop or redevelop in the near future. So we focus primarily on these 5 areas. You can see, I'll just go through them quickly. In the pink is the Belt Mill development. That is a planned development that has already been approved by the council, and horizontal infrastructure is already being installed. The blue is the square. That's another development that was recently approved by the City Council. I'll go over both of those in more detail shortly. And then you have 3 tracks to the south. In the yellow orangish is McElroy. That there is no concept plan for that yet, but it is owned by Centurion American. They anticipate a mixed-use development. And then in the green, you have the Western Center tract, also anticipated to be mixed use. And then you have a small tract on the very southern portion that is the original fire station that the city anticipates being redeveloped in the future. Again, I've just walked over those development areas. The first 2, Belt Mill and Western Center, are the 2 largest tracts. Like I said, Belt Mill, we already have a planned development, and we've already begun horizontal infrastructure, and the square was just recently approved, so we anticipate that happening in the near future. Just a little bit more detail on Belt Mill. Here's the most recent concept plan. So there's 196 anticipated single-family units on the north, and then on the western and center portions of the tracts, you have multifamily tracts. Some of those have already been sold and are anticipating to begin development rather quickly. And then on the south side in the red is commercial development that, again, we would anticipate coming online in the near future. The commercial portion is approximately 11.7 acres. The multifamily is 43 acres, and the single family, those 196 lots, covers the remaining 36 acres. For those single family lots, we just use a very conservative $315,000 build out anticipated for each one of those. We anticipate that to come in higher. And with this whole Belt Mill development, we anticipate adding approximately $182 million in added value that is not there today. The square, this is, again, like I said, another development that was recently approved. You have primarily multifamily tracts and then a few acres of commercial on the west side as well that fronts Old Decatur Road. So our TIRZ priorities with this project, I've gone over a couple of them already, but we want to create a dedicated funding mechanism for the development and new development, and create areas with diverse uses such as that commercial overlaid with your multifamily along with single family as well. And we want to focus on expanding the city's population and economic growth, and so that's why we focus primarily on those 5 tracks, and then as well, of course, renovating existing public infrastructure and installing new infrastructure in the city. So as Megan pointed out earlier, the existing base value of the TIRZ as it was created last year is approximately $7 million. We use very conservative figures in our feasibility study. Many of the tracks that we anticipate developing aren't even included in that. We primarily focused on development that we already knew was coming online within the next couple of years. So you can see, even with conservative numbers and looking at only an average 2% value increase, and also planning in a couple of years of no growth every decade to simulate an economic downturn, you still end up at the end of the 30-year life of the TIRZ with an estimated $494 million in added value to the city and the county. This is a summary of the TIRZ number 1 feasibility study from the project and finance plan. The city has agreed to participate at 50% over the life of the zone. They are requesting that the county match that contribution and also contribute 50% of their tax rate. And if the county agrees to participate, we'll also go to Tarrant County and request their participation at 50% as well. You can see with an estimated 50% participation from the county, that equates to about $11.9 million total contribution from the county to the TIRZ over the 30-year life of the project. That $11.9 million would be a hard cap that is included in a county participation agreement. So the county would not go over that amount unless there was an amendment in the future. So here's a breakout of that $11.9 million projected over the life of the zone. So you can see average after build out, there's about an average of a $400,000 a year contribution from the county to the zone, and that by the end of the zone that gets larger to about $600,000 at the end of the zone, and after that all increment after the end, of course, would go back to the county. This is a breakout of the project and finance plan projects. We created 2 tiers simply because we wanted to make it clear the projects that would be eligible from the county contribution if they chose to participate. So the county would only participate in tier 2 projects. Those are your core infrastructure projects that you're used to seeing, such as street, water, sewer, sidewalks, and whatnot. So the city would still also use their contribution to participate in those tier 2 projects. We just wanted to be clear that any public facilities that are built by the city, that the county contribution would not go to those tier 1 projects, but of course the city will still participate in both tiers. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Of course, as I said, Gabe Ream with the City of Saginaw is here to answer any questions as well.
And I guess my question, and I think at least at this point in time, I know the answer, but because so much of the costs are going for infrastructure, water and sewer, I know that that is something that is eligible for ARPA funds. And while at this point I think we've got a pretty good idea, or shortly we'll have a pretty good idea of where the money is, where we plan on spending our ARPA funds. It would seem to me like this would be an eligible expense. It may not be one that we want to choose at this time, but for future type things, if we were to look at that and say, okay, let's say, for example, we get near the end and we have ARPA funds that we have not spent, then at that point in time, this would be an eligible ARPA expense, and that we could then turn around and use that as a project under our ARPA funds.
I want to ask Kristen.
So, Judge Whitley, I know that that's something that we could look at, but I do just want to keep in mind that some of these projects, although it's a 30-year, it's over the 30-year period, so some of these, like I said earlier, might not happen for 5 or 6 years into the future.
Right.
So just something that we can think about, and then, it's something we can look at, but I don't know.
And I'm again, we're early in the process. I think that we've got plenty of priorities that we've set that would use most of, if not all of the money that we've been allocated. But as we go forward and as we look at projects, it would seem to me like this, if we're doing this for, whether it be Saginaw, whether it be any, if we can break it down into phases or certain projects that we could spend that on. I don't want it to go by without us noticing and maybe keeping a little cumulative list of projects that we might be able to do that with.
We understand what you're saying, and it's a thing that we should look at. One thing we don't want to do is return any federal funds.
Exactly.
And so as we do that, we may be able to buy down that 11.9 million. There are some parameters that we have to consider the expenditure in a timely manner. But that should not, if the court desires to enter into this agreement, that should not be something that delays our action on this.
Right, I agree.
I'm going to let Gabe say a few words.
Judge, I'm used to karaoke. Hold on. I'm just kidding.
Be careful.
Judge and Commissioners, thank you so much for your time this morning. Would like to thank Commissioner J.D. Johnson. It's my understanding that he is retiring soon, and I thought he was just getting going after 30-some years. So, former Saginaw mayor, he has been very good to Saginaw, Texas, and for that we're thankful. Happy to answer any questions. Might mention just a few things. So, these projects in these areas, for those who aren't familiar with Saginaw, Saginaw, I believe, is visible from outer space along with the Great Wall of China. So the grain elevators are very prominent. They're 200 feet tall, so that can kind of orient a person along Business 287. To the north, one of the developments that's underway now currently is adjacent to what our city council just named the J.D. Johnson Bridge. The judge and commissioners approved participation in that bridge, and again, we're very thankful. But as is expected in Tarrant County, it's the place that people want to be, and we're expecting and feeling right now rapid population growth, and the infrastructure to support these developments is necessary. My final note would be a lot of our infrastructure needs relate to drainage because Saginaw is very flat, which is why the railroads are there, and we're very grateful for the support of you, Judge, and the commissioners, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Do you need
I don't need anything today. This is the briefing, but as long as you're all supportive of it, we'll work with the City of Saginaw to bring back the TIRZ participation agreement. And I know Commissioner Johnson isn't virtual with us today, but staff has talked with him, P3 has talked with him, and he is supportive of all of this.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Members of the court, if we can now go to the other briefing item. This concerns health-related issues in Tarrant County. Mr. Tenaz is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning, Your Honor, and members of the court.
Hi, Vinny.
Back again with a quick update on COVID. That seems to the flavor for the last 2 years, unfortunately. So we have a trends update, and as you can see on all the charts, the numbers are starting to stabilize. We're hopeful that this starts a downturn, but currently you can see the peak forming on all the indicators. And why I feel good about it is the R0 rate has significantly dropped to 1.03, so that confirms everything else that we're seeing. And you all have seen some of the numbers come in. We reported less cases this morning than before. I think it was 6,000 something. And so, again, this is going to go up and down for a little bit, but overall, I think we're starting to see that decline come that we were hoping for. But not to short sell what has happened. I mean, it is quite eye-opening. This week, probably tomorrow, we're going to surpass 500,000 cases in Tarrant County. I mean, let that sink in for a minute. Over the last 2 years, 1/4 of Tarrant County has come down ill with COVID, and about 100,000 people in just the last 1 month. Those bars on the right-hand corner, of the chart, that's about 3.5 weeks, and we have 100,000 cases in those bars. That's a lot of disease activity in our community. Again, the message remains the same. Nothing's changed, folks. Let's wear our masks when we're out, get your vaccine, avoid unnecessary large crowds. And even then, it is possible that people may get this because the disease activity is too high. Every corner you turn, you look in the office, you look in your household, cases are there. So again, do all the protections that you can. So if you do end up getting it, it's a milder case versus something really severe. Our hospitals, they're starting to see a little bit of a relief come in. There's about 1,339 cases, but they were brimming with cases. We had touched a little bit over 1,500. That's a heavy load with one illness in any hospital system. So, hopefully this will start coming down really quick as it went up real quick. We're hopeful that it comes down quick as well. But let's kind of give this a little, courtesy that it deserves, that it is a serious threat in our community, and we all need to be doing our part to take care of this. Again, messages are the same, and I want to kind of reiterate that the main thing that we have to protect against COVID is vaccinations, vaccinations, vaccinations. And I will show you some data. Booster doses are lacking in our community. For some reason, folks are not coming out to complete their booster doses. So I want to remind everybody, let's get that done. Don't wait, because there's news out there even this morning. Pfizer saying they're working on an Omicron-specific vaccine. Great. By the time it comes out, Omicron may not be the problem, something else may be. So let's get what we have now and then worry about what comes down the pike. If a new situation arrives and a new vaccine booster comes, we'll worry about it at that point, but let's utilize what we have today. Testing operations, we're seeing that demand and volume start to decline and level off quite a bit, and it's happening all across. It's not just our sites, vendor sites, partner sites, everybody's saying the same thing. And it's still a fairly busy volume on most places, but it's not at the levels that we were seeing, almost a half decline over the last 10 days or so. There's some new sites that opened. So you heard the FEMA site that went live last week, and there's a new site also at the Mansfield ISD, R.L. Anderson Stadium. So that's a vendor called Know Me Health. They have 2 locations currently in Tarrant County, in Arlington ISD and Mansfield ISD. The thing that I like about them is that their sites, they offer both rapid test, that you get a result within an hour, and then you get a full confirmation PCR coming the next day. So that's great. So if anybody still needs testing, certainly you can avail of any of our testing sites at tarrantcounty.com/COVID testing, and you can take a pick on where you would like to go.
So Vinny,
Yes, sir.
the site then in Arlington at Choctaw, that is one that we had anticipated that we would be running about 1,000 tests a day. So there's plenty of capacity over there if anyone needs to pick up a test, and so we would, and that's a drive-through.
Yes, sir.
And so that's one advantage that we have, so we can continue to get the word out that if you're in that area, there's plenty of capacity for them to receive the test. Are you going to talk in your presentation any about the new federal availability of tests? Are you going to cover that?
Yes, sir, I can cover that. So as we talked about several times over the last few weeks, that federal government was coming out with this new program where rapid tests would be delivered by mail to folks who need it. And I think last week they announced that you can go on to a federal government website to order, I think it's 4 tests per household in the beginning, and then eventually I think you're going to be able to resupply some of that. There's 2 other components of it. One is that the federal government is mandating insurance companies must cover retail bought rapid tests. There's some rules and regulations around it, so definitely read up on the federal website. But if you go buy it from a store with an approved reason, you should be able to get reimbursement coverage from insurance companies. And it gets a little complicated, so you got to talk with your company to find out what their requirements are. And then the final thing of that was that they had pushed a lot of supply through community health centers, the federally qualified health centers. So our FQHC did receive some supply on hand, and we've picked up some, rapid testing kits from them, and we're working with the administrator's office on finalizing a distribution plan on how to utilize those within our community. So again, this is all kind of happening as we go. So 3 components. People can order a test online, and that should be, the early delivery should be starting here end of January. That's what we keep hearing. And retail availability, and then finally through the community health centers.
So let me make a couple of comments with regards to that. If you are an employee if you're on the Tarrant County Health Plan, PEBC, then what the preference would be for our plan would be for you to go to one of our CVS providers within our community. And if you go there, you get the test, you pay nothing, they will bill, they'll take care of everything. Now, the question is gonna be as to whether or not they have the tests when you go there. But the first preference that we would say for our employees involved in our health plan is go to a CVS provider pharmacy. The test that that the FQHC is getting, those people who do not have insurance are the ones that maybe would be in most need of the ones that would come from the FQHC and then maybe ultimately from our area or whoever we distribute them to, because they're not covered. Again, the insurance, especially self-insured insurance carriers or companies, they're ordered by the federal government to give those to the individuals basically without a charge.
Yes, sir.
So just let's be sure and clarify all of that. But again, we're anticipating, I believe, that it's going to be some time before all these pharmacies, even our provider pharmacies within our health plan, are going to have a multitude of tests that you can receive.
Absolutely. And the first thing would be, and a lot of people availed of this opportunity to go online and order a test. I don't remember, the one that I remember is a USPS website, because that's where it redirects you to when you click on the federal website link. So you can order the test online through USPS, and the mail service will deliver it to your house. It was very well covered last week, and since then I've slept, so I can't remember the name of the website right offhand. But that's where I would recommend people try first, because then it will come to your house. Now, what I want to be very clear, they're very well advertised that it takes almost 2 weeks from the time you order to time you get a delivery. So if you're feeling the symptoms, don't go online to order a test. Go to one of our drive-through sites and get tested. Those tests are for you to have on hand for next round of whatever may be happening. Somebody in the family comes in ill, that's when you run a rapid test to see what's happening. Those are not, the ordering service is not designed for, oh, I'm feeling sick today, let me go online and order a test. You're gonna be waiting for a while.
What is the shelf life on those tests?
So it depends, but typically 6 months to 1 year. They bought a whole bunch, so you're gonna have varying expiration dates. Check on the box that arrives, and you'll know which lot you got.
And those that you order from the federal government, they are delivering them now already.
Yes, sir.
So we're getting those. Judge, just a clarification, when you say CVS, you're talking about all the pharmacies that participate in our health insurance.
Exactly, CVS provider, and that provider network, that could be Tom Thumb, it could be Walmart, it could be any number of, but just check, and if they are in our pharmacy, if you're getting your prescriptions right now from them with the member card, all then you should have to do would be to walk up, show the card, and then you should be given if they have them, you should be given the tests, and there should not be a charge for those tests.
Thank you, Judge.
Quick update on the vaccines, and this is where I want to kind of draw your attention. We've given almost 1.16 million vaccine doses. Almost 60% of the county is fully vaccinated with, eligible population age 5 and up. The gap seems to be number of people who are coming out to get their booster doses. We're really slow right now, 321,000. That's a huge delta between, 2 doses versus people who got their booster. I need the community to come out, get their booster doses done, so we don't have to deal with all of these other things that we're dealing with right now in the hospital systems everywhere. I mean, everywhere you turn, you have people positive with COVID. Let's get the boosters done, so hopefully we can get over this. So in that effort, we launched a new initiative, which was successful yesterday. It was the first launch day. It's the Vaxmobile for Tarrant County, and it was a partnership with Trinity Metro. They've very nicely worked with us on converting their bus, a 60-foot double-decker bus, into a full mobile clinic. So the front end is where people get in. There's a handicap-accessible entrance. There's a clinic set up, and on the back half, there's the waiting area after you got done with your vaccinations, the observation area. So it's a really well-done vaccination bus. We had looked at all the data. Where are our lowest vaccinated communities in Tarrant County, and coupled that with the CDC vulnerability index. So looked at really high SVI areas. And so we picked the Lancaster Avenue area yesterday, but it's going to be rotating across the county. It was very well received. Public came out. Some of our brick and mortar clinics didn't bring this many people. Yesterday we did 44 at the bus. So seemingly the public is liking it because it's convenient. It comes to your neighborhood. We had a Fort Worth Public Library as a first stop on Meadowbrook, and then the other one was a church. So community locations, and we're going to be working on several of those over the next several weeks. The duration of the effort currently is planned to be about 10 to 12 weeks because it's grant funded. But yesterday we had a lot of discussion because the launch was very successful. We'll be happy to expand the effort. Currently it's slated for 1 day a week, but it's going to be driven by demand. If people continue to utilize the service, we're happy to get out there. But if we start to see the numbers drop, we might have to come back and retool because this does take a lot of effort, not just on our part, but on Trinity Metro's part, and then those community organizations who are helping us advertise and get their location ready for us to be able to come. So all of these resources we want to put to good use and not just have the bus there standing and nobody comes. So again, a message to the public, this is coming to a neighborhood near you, so let's utilize it, and typically it's going to run every Thursday. That's all I have. Be happy to answer any questions.
One question, I noticed on our consent this morning, we are terminating the lease at LeGrand Plaza.
Yes, sir.
That seems like a pretty good spot to have. Why are we doing that?
So the bus will probably go to one of those locations, yes, sir. So currently we're finalizing all the spots, and the teams looked at all the low vaccination rates, high vulnerability. It'll probably run in that neighborhood somewhere.
But why are we terminating the lease at LeGrand Plaza?
So we had two operations there. One was a vaccine clinic and another one was a WIC operation. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, some of the clinics were closed. We had issues with vaccine maintenance at that location. The power would keep going out and all kinds of maintenance issues. So the vaccine clinic moved to our main building, the Tarrant County Public Health main location, which is about a mile and a half up the road. And it's doing well there. So, the team liked it, and we heard from the state that if you're not using that facility, they're not going to pay in the grant for rental. And that created a sort of a burden on the WIC program. They can't handle that big of a space in their grant either. So we decided to vacate that spot. WIC has declining participation, so a lot of the clientele that they serve, they have already been coming to other locations. And then for the vaccine clinic, as a replacement, we're also opening a clinic at the Resource Connection. There's a space there. So we should be able to handle all the needs in that area.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Vinny? Thank you, Vinny.
Thanks, Vinny.
Members of the court, we can now go to the administrator section, items A1 and 2. Mr. Chapman is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Morning, Russell.
So on Administrator's section, item number 1, we're seeking to receive and file the Tarrant County COVID-19 recovery report.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And then on item number 2, we are seeking 2 court action items. First, approve changes to the fiscal recovery fund budget. So this week we are coming and requesting 2 additional non-FTE staff for JPs 5 and 8. Court has previously approved non-FTE staffing augmentation for JPs 4 and 6, and this is to specifically deal with increases in eviction backlog.
Move for approval.
You said for which courts again?
Court has approved,
5 and 8.
yes, 4 and 6, and we're looking for 5 and 8.
Okay, because we previously did that for, what were the other ones?
4 and 6.
Okay, that's.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Second?
We have a motion and a second. So with the evictions, so I'm assuming that these are evictions, not of folks that we're trying to get rental assistance for, but folks who are being evicted for other reasons?
No.
No.
We've noticed an increase in the number of cases that have gone to these courts as it relates to the ERAP program. And so this is something that we'll be able to help them. We have all the JPs now trying to refer most of those cases into the ERAP program. And the volume has gone up in here. And this is pretty much similar to what we did in 4 and 6.
Correct.
So this is to help people in the ERAP program and not actually evict them.
Again, it's staff augmentation, staff assistance to help with the increases in the number of eviction cases that we're
Try
seeing.
to reach a solution in lieu of eviction, but I understand in some cases that may be yet the only option.
Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
In the second item, receive and file the list of agenda items. There are no agenda items on the agenda today that have FRF funding. We don't need to receive and file that, correct?
Yeah, we're asking that you receive and file, and with the notice that there are no items on the agenda today.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russell.
Ms. Tidwell?
We have 3 items we're asking the court to consider this morning. The first is we're specifically requesting that you authorize the county auditor to fund Delta dental benefit claims without final execution of the contract and to pay dental claims without advanced approval from the Commissioner's Court.
I'll move for approval.
And I'll second. We have a motion and a second, so
We've been here before. The
Yes, we
contracts
have.
are not executed, and we don't want to jeopardize our relationship for our employees and with our providers. Again, I have no control over whether or not I have an executed document. I'm just seeking court approval to pay.
So we've been here before with another provider or with Delta Dental?
Other, just contracts in general.
Oh,
we've been here before with Delta
With
too,
Delta,
but,
yeah.
so DA's office, tell me where we are in the contract process with these folks.
Judge, my understanding that it's still in negotiations with Delta Dental at this point, and that the contract just has not been finalized and is ready for approval at this point.
Okay,
Unfortunately, this is not atypical, and it's not just with Delta Dental, and it takes us a while to go ahead and negotiate these things down. And so I think that, we're just working through this process. And what we're asking you to do is allow the auditor's office to pay the bills until we get the contract.
well, and I have no problem with the paying of the bills. My problem is that we can't get this contract negotiated.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've known we were switching to Delta Dental for close to 6 months now, probably. And so I just can't understand understand why it takes us that long to get the stuff done.
Let us get you all a status report, and we'll bring that to you next week.
And go ahead and tell us if are there other contracts that we haven't gotten? Of course, most of the other contracts we're continuing.
Right,
We moved back to
the new one.
Delta.
I don't know of any others.
But it would be interesting to know, because if they are, then that means they've been undone for over 12 months.
Yeah, we did change, remember, provision coverage to VSP. We moved back to VSP, and so we have another outstanding contract, it may be that one, but I'll check with staff. I was copied on an email last week, and I think we're really close with the Delta contract.
And in that status report, just to refresh why we went back to Delta, right? There was a reason why we had Delta and changed to another provider, and then why we are now going back to Delta, and I don't remember what that is.
So the issue really was with Cigna. So
Okay.
you're correct, we had Delta in place, we changed to Cigna. And we had some issues with Cigna. We were finding that they were charging us, I don't know if they were fees or what they were, but our costs were exponentially higher with Cigna. And that on top of issues that we were having with just general claims issues and customer service complaints. And so we did an RFP process and then moved back to Delta Dental.
Thank you, Tina.
Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our next item is to ask the court to receive and file the auditor, I'm out of order, to receive and file the quarterly investment report for the period ended September 30th, 2021.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And the last item is to receive and file the auditor's report related to the court manager's exit review for Justice of the Peace Precinct 4.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Ms. Glenn?
Move to receive and file the personnel agenda.
I'll, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Chris?
Morning, Judge, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Morning.
We have just 3 items for you. They are related items, and with your permission, I can do the readout for all 3. So this morning, we are requesting the Commissioner's Court permission to pay invoice number 102196, tax share juvenile, invoice number 102215, magistration, and invoice number 102201. And these are for our operational maintenance that will go for the period of January 1 to December 2022.
So I can make just a joint motion for all 3. Is that fine?
That's correct.
Okay. Move approval of all 3 payments.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motions pass unanimously. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Melissa?
Morning.
Good morning. We have 4 items for, excuse me, a little under the weather. We have 4 items for your consideration. The first item is an award recommendation for bid number 2022-022. This is our annual contract for articulated wheel loaders for all precincts, awarding to the primary vendors listed per unit price.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And the second item is also an award recommendation regarding bid number 2022-034 This is our annual contract for sit-stand desks, monitor arms, and fatigue mats, countywide, awarding to the primary, secondary vendors listed per unit price and discount from list price.
Move for approval.
I second, and I have a question.
Yes.
How many of those have y'all ordered? Those desks, stand-up desks? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, we have an estimated budget in the court communique. I didn't bring
So
that
last
with
year,
me.
there was about 34,600, I think.
Ordered or $30?
Dollars.
How much we
Dollars.
actually
Dollar value.
spent.
Oh,
Dollars spent.
okay. Now,
Yeah.
how many are being used? That's the-
I know that our office has the, every one of our people use the stand-ups. And you can stand them up or you can put them down. So we use them.
We have 2 in our office.
Yeah, most of them in my office are lower and people are sitting down. Anyway. Okay.
We'll get that number for you.
Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
The third item is also an award recommendation regarding bid number 2022-046. This is our annual contract for biomedical hazardous waste pickup and disposal for Public Health and Medical Examiner's Office, awarding to the various primary and secondary vendors listed per unit price.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And the fourth and last item is an award recommendation regarding bid number 2022-052. This is our semi-annual contract for copy paper, envelopes, and other related products.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any appointments today? None. Then you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We've had our briefing items. I have audience participation. Anything else, Mr. Manus, at this time?
No, I believe that, Amber, are you here to report on the contract? Amber's been working on that contract with Delta Dental, and if you'd like a quick briefing on it now.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Tarrant County is working closely with Dallas County. The counterpart there at Dallas County did have an emergency, and they had to go out of the country for an family emergency. So that delayed us a little bit, but I think we're close in just finalizing that and getting us on the same page with the Delta Dental contract.
Do we have any other contracts out?
VSP is also awaiting finalization.
Are we working with Dallas County on that one too?
Yes.
Okay.
So the vision and the dental.
Okay.
But I expect to have them finalized in February for your approval.
But so that with the auditor's office, we only took action on the Delta Dental. So what does that mean for VSP? Is there not any outstanding things that need to be paid on that?
I would imagine there's claims to be paid on VSP as well.
I'm sure there are. I think the Delta is a much larger population of employees enrolled, not to discount the importance of vision care.
Sure.
But the dental has the potential to spiral much more quickly.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. At this time, I have one audience participation. Rudolph Tovar, CEO of Texas Procurement. Please come forward. Please go ahead and state your name and then you have 2 minutes to make any comments you wish to make.
My name is, good morning, Judge and
Morning.
Commissioners. My name is Rudolph Tovar, CEO of Texas Procurement Tissue Bank here in Fort Worth. This is actually my second time being here in Commissioner's Court, so thank you. Trying to get an update on the facility usage agreement here for Tarrant County. I had a unanimous approval back on the 23rd of November. That was the day that Commissioner Allen, you gave your speech about it and being able to chase it and going after it. And you know, I've reached out plenty of times to Chandler Merritt and the administrator's office to try to get this deal done. As I've been watching other tissue banks get theirs without having to attend commissioners' meeting, not even answering the phone. In one of the meetings that I streamed, I saw that they didn't even answer. It's like I said, it's been since November 23rd, and I last made contact with Chandler Merritt in the administrator's office, who told me that because of the doctor change at the medical examiner's office, he wanted to allow Dr. Crowns to give some input, which I told him that I would reach out to Dr. Crowns myself. And in doing so, about 5 days afterwards, he created the same usage agreement for another tissue bank that got signed off and approved, I believe, on the 4th of January this month. So I'm basically up here to be heard and to get an update on what it is that I can do to facilitate this and get this agreement going. I know there is talks with Dr. Crowns, and I'd like to have this agreement ready for him for approval. I don't see that he would have any problems with it. Since then, he's personally approved pre-autopsy release on about 4 to 5 cases for my company to go work on. And just found it, you know, what brought me in here today is just to sit back and watch other tissue banks get this agreement off a simple phone call, you know, is really why I'm here, with countless phone calls, none being returned back to me, no emails being returned back to me. And so basically wanted to come in person and see if I can get an update on this.
Well, because it was not an item on our agenda, we can't speak to it today.
Okay.
But what I would suggest that you do is immediately after this, if you'll touch base with Mr. Manius, then we'll see if we can't get this resolved, and then if not, then we'll try to get it on the agenda where we can talk about it and go from there.
Thank you very much, Judge. I appreciate your time.
Any other business at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Then we'll recess our open meeting to proceed to close to discuss items exempt under section 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. Magrum, are they there? Blink at me. Having returned from our closed session, there being no business to conduct at this time, we stand adjourned.